Detroit Lions have made a few great draft picks in NFL history, including Calvin Johnson, maybe the greatest wide receiver of all time, and Barry Sanders, maybe the greatest running back of all time. However, maybe they have made their greatest draft steal of all time very recently in Kenny Golladay. And Kenny Golladay is now maybe the best wide receiver in the NFL. However, coming out of high school, he only had one scholarship offer. So, let's get it started. That's right, we're talking about Kenny Golladay in today's video, the Detroit Lions wide receiver. And Kenny Golladay was born back in 1993 on November 3rd. And he played high school football in Chicago at St. Rita High School. And at St. Rita High School, he was not very interesting to a lot of colleges. Not very interesting at all. He was not a very big wide receiver in high school, about 6 foot tall. And he was not a very fast wide receiver in high school either. And because of that, again, not a lot of colleges were very interested. However, there was one college that actually was interested in Kenny Golladay, and that college was North Dakota. And Kenny Golladay decided to go to North Dakota because of that. And, you know, Kenny Golladay started to like it at North Dakota. In his first year, he actually had 30 receptions for 429 yards and a touchdown. Then in his sophomore season, he had 69 receptions for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns. However, the coaches that actually offered him the scholarship were then fired. And because of this, Kenny Golladay decided that he wanted to get out and he wanted to go play somewhere else. The only problem was, again, no coaches or any colleges were very interested in Kenny Golladay when he was back in high school because he was only about 6 foot tall. He wasn't very fast. He wasn't very interesting and intriguing to a lot of college teams. Because of that, Kenny Golladay decided that he had to send or get out some film somehow to show these other colleges what he could actually do. So he decided to go on Huddle. That's right. He went on Huddle and actually made his own clip of his own highlights and sent it to his high school coach, asking him to show it to colleges. Because now Kenny Golladay between high school and college grew about 4 inches and he became a lot faster and more athletic than ever before. And after sending it to his high school coach, a little bit later, back in 2013, 2 colleges actually got back to the high school coach. And those 2 colleges were Northern Illinois and Eastern Illinois, who were actually interested in Kenny Golladay. And Kenny Golladay, seeing that Northern Illinois was actually the bigger football school at that time, decided to go to Northern Illinois for his final 2 years as a college football player in hopes of finally somehow making it to the NFL after only getting 1 scholarship offer from 1 team. Then as a junior in his first year after having to miss 1 year with Northern Illinois, and after seeing him in practice, the coaches were so impressed by what he could do. So then in his first year with Northern Illinois as a junior, he had 73 receptions for over 1,000 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns. Absolutely just flew out of a cannon. Just surprised everyone in the MAC conference. And all of a sudden, this guy was starting to get on NFL teams' radars. And then as a senior in college, he had 87 receptions for 1,156 yards and 8 touchdowns. The consistency was there, and all of a sudden, NFL teams were actually interested in this player. This player that was at one time a 6 foot, not super athletic wide receiver that only had 1 scholarship offer. All of a sudden, he was 6'4", crazy athletic, and he was balling in college and playing for, yes, a Division I football school. And because of this, there were some teams that were interested in this freak of a wide receiver, but no one was really sure how great he could be. We knew he had the size and the attributes, but how great really was he? Well, the Detroit Lions actually decided to take a chance on Kenny Golladay in 2017 then in the draft. In the 3rd round, Kenny Golladay was selected at number 96. And at number 96, the Lions would find out later on that they may have made their greatest draft pick, one of their greatest draft picks of all time. I would say definitely Bob Quinn's greatest draft pick of all time. An absolute steal here in Kenny Golladay. And this was just the start of something really awesome for what Kenny Golladay would then show in the NFL. Kenny Golladay came in to training camp and he competed with Jared Abbrederis, TJ Jones, Keyshawn Martin, and some other wide receivers for a spot on the team. And then the Detroit Lions decided that he would actually win out that spot and he would have a roster spot. So then in preseason, where he made his first professional debut, however, it was a preseason game, he came up with 3 receptions, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Keep in mind, this was under Jim Caldwell. He was named then the 3rd wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, and in his regular season debut against the Arizona Cardinals, he came up with 4 receptions for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 1 45-yard bomb for Matthew Stafford to really seal the deal in a 35-23 win. So the excitement was definitely there. Me personally, as a fan of the Lions, I knew that Kenny Golladay could be something special. I wanted to see him play. However, a little bit of a setback. In week 3, he dealt with a hamstring injury, which kept him out until week 9. but he definitely bounced back like crazy. He finished off the 2017 with some crazy good numbers. 28 receptions, 477 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But we knew he was just scratching the surface and that he had potential to be an absolutely great wide receiver. Then in 2018, the Detroit Lions ending up firing their coach in Jim Caldwell and bringing in Matt Patricia. Well, in his first year with Matt Patricia, Kenny Golladay definitely did his thing. He really showed out in week 1 against the New York Jets because the hype was there, and he ended up with 7 receptions for 114 yards in his first game. In the first week of 2018, even though the game didn't go so well for the Lions, Kenny Golladay definitely balled out, and he finished the 2017 season off like crazy. In 13 games, he had 70 receptions, over 1,000 yards in his second season, with 5 touchdowns. And he was just absolutely like shocking people. And you knew last season, now in 2019, that this guy had potential to be one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL. In 2019, he lived up to it completely. In 16 games played, he had 65 receptions for nearly 1,200 receiving yards and 18.3 yards per reception. 18.3 yards per reception with 11 touchdowns. So he absolutely dominated. He was actually invited to the Pro Bowl, and Kenny Golladay is now one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL currently. The question is he the best wide receiver in the NFL? That actually can be made a case. He's so young, and he has potential to become the best wide receiver in the NFL very soon. And looking back, being drafted as late as he was, back in the 3rd round, a 3rd round draft pick in Kenny Golladay, who could now be argued as the best wide receiver in the league at this age. 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons in 3 years of play. We absolutely know what Kenny Golladay is capable of, and we're looking forward to seeing him in the future. A guy that only had 1 scholarship offer coming out of high school originally is now one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL currently, and we are so excited to see what Kenny Golladay can do in the future. I'm excited to see what Kenny Golladay can do. I think at some point he will be named and looked at as the best wide receiver in the NFL without much of a debate. Maybe that's next year in 2020. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, this is a great story of Kenny Golladay, and definitely a great story for Bob Quinn, as he in Kenny Golladay made his best draft pick of all time. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts and comments below about Kenny Golladay. Thank you, Prep, for watching, and I'm out.